Welcome to the woke and gay. Transformers are in charge, hey, hey. The girls' room is full of men. They're grooming your children. Or we'll just let a migrant steal them, because Christians will forgive them. Now put on your mask and stick your head up your ass. Pedro and Manuel need a free hotel. We will give you the fill. Now take this pill and chill. You can't even sell lemonade, but here's a naked parade. Your streets look like human vermin, but at least you're not all speaking German. Welcome to the woke and gay. Letting people rob stores is okay. Remember, if you need to get mad, it's Russia and Iran that are bad. So pay for these wars and let the queers and whores spread their hate every day. Welcome to the woke and gay. Pedophiles run the BBC, but manliest is your enemy. A Smurf man making fun of Christ. Bearded drag queens, ain't it nice? Tell me again, there is no hope, because that rooftop had a slope. It's woke, it's gay. Why do so many YouTubers play with minors in an inappropriate way? Welcome to the woke and gay. Hope this song did not hit a trigger. If it did, well, you're just a you can't it, well, you're just
The more people are addicted to entertainment, the less information they have. They went around and they're asking people who don't have extra chromosomes, can you name 3 countries besides the US, Mexico, and Canada? And they found grown-ass adults who couldn't do it. Worse, instead of saying, no, I can't do it, is they started naming cities or continents. They would say Dubai, Europe. They don't even know that they don't know. It's better to be aware of your own ignorance. They thought they did know when they didn't. How is that possible? Because they live in a phone. They have all this information available, but that's not how they use it, is it? And this is Ted's point. He goes, I don't care what you could do. I'm saying what people actually do. If you make that technology where, well, I could learn about the moons of Jupiter in 2 clicks, or I could scroll on TikTok for the next 3 hours watching booty dances. Most people are going to choose the booty dance, and it seems counterintuitive. He saw this 30 years ago. Right now, everyone knows the earth is round. They could make an argument for that, but just watch. We're devolving. Idiocracy was a prophecy.
Boom. Idiocracy was a prophecy, unfortunately. Talking Ted K. Pulling out the calendar for the first time. June 10th, of course, is the death anniversary of Uncle Ted, who I was just talking about. That was the day that they dubbed him the Unabomber. Una after United Airlines, which was one of the first things he targeted. We have the Lovelies, and the quote today is from the Puppet Master. All things change in a dynamic environment. Your effort to remain what you are is what limits you. You have to stop and think on that. Now, this one was, this is Familiar Library. You can get this top in the store. You can get that underwear in the store as well. This is in another library. I don't think she has any of our gear on, but it's rather nice. Oh, we just passed the holiday. June 9th is 6/9, so that was a day for couples to 69. And we're approaching, we had a lot of things in the beginning of June. Obviously, Jefferson Davis's birthday, the anniversary of the attack on the USS Liberty, the assassination of RFK. And I've done shows on all those things, most recently on RFK quite a bit. So here's the calendar. You can follow along if you have it. Now I finally have a calendar. I didn't have one. It's the middle of the year. Finally get it. Is what it is. Well, I want to talk about Uncle Ted today. That little clip I just played was stressing. It's kind of a bit of Hume's fork. Hume is talking about moral questions, though, but he's talking about what is rather than what ought to be. But you can apply that in a way to Uncle Ted. When he's talking about technological society, he's not talking about what could or should or ought to be with technology. He's talking about what actually is coming from the technology we use. That's what he's warning about. He wasn't anti-tech. He was anti-technological society. You have to put it together. You can't say, "Oh, so you can't use a computer or you can't turn on the light bulb." That's not what he's talking about. He was talking about a greater alienation of humanity, psychologically especially, that is a byproduct from technology that we're not recognizing, that if we don't do things, surrogate activities, things to correct this, it's going to further increase the psychological rot, the loss of autonomy, and a breakdown of just human will. You're going to be little cogs in a factory, which is the life most people live. If you're not in the first world, you're essentially trash. And if you're not in that top 0.5% even, you're essentially trash. And it's just going to get worse. And so some things I'll point out. We had the COVID hysteria over gain of function research, which shouldn't be done. You could wipe these viruses out, but instead they decide, let's make them more contagious. Let's make them more powerful. Let's put everyone on lockdown, slap a face diaper on them. You lived through the COVID hysteria. And they're able to do that because they also control mass media. It's in the hands of a few people, get to put out their message and no one else can say anything. They can censor you. Now you've got Palantir coming around the corner. There's nuclear weapons. That's expanded. We nearly had it pop off between India and Pakistan recently. 2 nuclear armed states. We find out now from Iran spying on Israel that the EU has been propping up Israel's illegal and unannounced nuclear weapons program that it got going by stealing material from the United States out of Apollo, Pennsylvania. There's an island of trash the size of Texas in the ocean, just full of plastics, microplastics in your food. There are a lot of downsides to technology, not just the obvious things to the environment, but also from Big Pharma, what's happening just in a normal person's daily life. All these kids on Adderall and Ritalin and antipsychotics and mind-controlling drugs. So if you can't adjust to a man-made, unnatural environment, sitting at a desk for 6 hours, if that makes you depressed, if that makes you broken inside, well, here's a pill. They're going to change your internal environment rather than the external environment to make you adjust to the system, well, the matrix, whatever, what they need. They need you to service them. And these super wealthy technocrats, they need people to run the stores and places where they vacation. You got to give them their coffee. You got to give them, someone's got to run the minimum. So yeah, they're guys there running the power plant, doing all the things they need that a high-tech society needs. They need you, professionals, drilled in your head, all this schooling, so that you can run all the gadgets and things so that they can have a giant playground in the world. And it's at the expense of you and 99% of other people are just little like proteins in the body. You're there to run the machines to service elitists. And it's causing a mental breakdown. All this schooling that people are put through to run this high-tech society, which they don't really benefit from. They drug you, they give you psychotropics, and just endless junk entertainment to numb you. So you have this vicarious life that you don't actually have, but you're watching people on TV interact with each other. You're watching 2.5 Men, whatever the hell it is. They have some lifestyle that isn't you. You're watching that. You're engaged in video games 5 hours a day in some virtual universe, having your fantasy life because it helps you cope with the life you're actually in, and you're all headed toward a Ready Player One situation where it's all going to be virtual, with a heavy, plied with alcohol and drugs, so that you can tolerate this unnatural environment that high-tech society has put us in. And what it is, what's really eating at you is your loss of autonomy. You don't have a chance to go through the power process. You don't have a chance to actualize potentials, to utilize natural freedom that you can say you're supposed to have. You can say, well, God given or whatever, but evolutionarily it's given too. The primary style of environment that human beings evolved in for thousands of years had a particular amount of struggle and freedom, where you actualize your potentials. You had to, and that farming, fishing, hunting, masonry, these typical skills where we were at for long periods of time. You had a certain amount of physical activity you had to do, a certain amount of social activity, certain amount of academic or intellectual prowess, problem solving and things. All these different categories of things that go into normal human societies. And what the high-tech society did is it gave you the goal without the struggle. And what that does is it removes the value from goal attainment. If you catch a fish and scale it, fry it, eat it, that's very satisfying, but a lot of your day went into getting the food. If you just go buy a sandwich from the store, you're not delighted. You're not having some profusion of happiness or whatever, because it was effortless. What that's supposed to do is free up time so you can do other things. Like, okay, you basically automatically have food, water, and so on in a high-tech society in a first world country. That's great. You get to live longer, da da da. But what is your day filled with? You're not actualizing your potentials. Most people don't. Now, some people will use surrogate activities. Like, no, they don't. I don't have to run around and think, like, because I'm not hunting, I'm not farming. So they will do sports, or they'll use a gym, or they'll do something to activate their body, because you still need that. Your brain needs it too. Now, some people need a higher level than other people, but this level of just like sitting around all day, that ain't it. And the same thing goes through all the types of potentials that are stripped away when things are just handed to you. The value in what you get is a byproduct on the effort it took to get it, and it can't be too easy or too hard. Simple analogy I give is playing chess. If you play some computer and it just destroys you, that loss doesn't mean anything. It wasn't fun. If you play a child and you destroy them, it's not fun. Even though you win, you're going to win every time. But winning has no meaning because you're just beating a kid. If you play someone around your level, and you might win, you might not, but that's an enjoyable game, because the goal is the game, not the end. Now, games need to have an end, or you can't play. There needs to be a winner and a loser. But what you get out of it was dependent on the challenge of it. Again, getting utterly destroyed or utterly destroying someone takes the value away. And that's how you have to structure activities. School doesn't really challenge you in a practical way. It's more of like a challenge in the sense of how well can you obey the rules. It's an obedience test. And George Carlin said it. They just want you smart enough to read the road signs and run the machines, but not really know anything. Nothing that's going to actually change your life. Nothing that's really enriching as far as terms of knowledge. And definitely nothing pragmatic that is a type of knowledge that you can actually use. Up until about second grade, like, everyone should have basic math, should know how to read. And you do get that out of school, but you would get that anyway, just like you learn how to talk and how to walk. That's almost automatic from parenting. But most of the stuff that's in there is a giant waste of time. And a definitive way to measure that is foreign languages. Because that's the kind of, it's hard to know what someone knows about science, history, whatever, but you know what someone knows about foreign language. That is very easy to test. Talk to me in a foreign language. Just have a conversation. Don't memorize his answers and like, let's just talk. If you can't do that, then you didn't learn it. And especially, I'm going to pick on America, but like, you have it. Everybody has it in school. They get a certain number of years of Spanish or French, whatever, and it doesn't work. They learn because they just sit in there conjugating verbs and stuff because that's the thing you can grade easily. And they don't teach it in a way where you're utilizing it and you'd actually remember it and do it. And I got news for you. That's every subject you have. The way you took a couple years of foreign language and you end up at the end, basically what you could have learned in a few days, a greeting, how to count, some colors, some minimal stuff that you all would have, you learned that whole thing in like a week. And it's probably the stuff you actually got to say. Because they don't have time to go to each person and say, hola, como estas, blah, 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 whatever. Ça va, blah, 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 blah. That stuff. And you're like, wow, I spent all these hours on this and I came out with zilch. Yeah, that's your history class. That's your chemistry class. That's all your stuff. It's just gradable factory work because the whole thing is not to teach you a skill. It's to teach you how to obey. And that's what they really want you to do. That's what the product they want out of school is people who will do what they're told. Will you do this Mendux-sized stuff in the future? And the ones that, are graded well is like, these are the ones that don't rebel and are good. They enjoy the obedience test. They like to, read the definitions in bold and fill them in the back at the end of the test or whatever. Like, that's what they're looking for. Factory workers, secretaries, people that would just go and fetch the coffee. It doesn't really meet your potentials at all. I feel like people do learn foreign languages, but they learn them outside of school. They either have it in some private setting or someone at home already speaks that language and they go, or they travel and they throw themselves to the wolves or whatever. Most people don't and will never, though, because it takes a lot of discipline. Same thing with learning a musical instrument or anything else. It takes discipline, repetition, and that's the skill they ought to be cultivating, is building up your willpower and your discipline, not motivation. Like, if you can master yourself, or put it this way, if you can't master yourself, you will never master anything else. If you procrastinate, that's just you not listening to yourself. You know you have to do it. You want to do it. You want the fruits of it. There's some benefit, and then you don't do it, or you're late doing it. Oh, it's not a lack of knowledge. It's not like you didn't know you were supposed to do this thing. It's just you didn't get out of bed. You're scrolling on your phone. You're addicted to the dopamine of what you've learned to become a coping mechanism because your life sucks. And then you make it worse. But this, sitting in school, waiting for the bell, and you're just going subject to subject, and you're not learning shit all day long. You're just there. And it's almost designed to, like, how could you possibly learn less? Like, you have someone there 50 minutes in a row every day. If I was there, your teacher, for 50 minutes, for, say, American history or something, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn about conspiracies, government, how money actually works. You're going to learn more with someone like me in 2 weeks than you are all year with some other teacher. And it's not that that other teacher's dumb. They are forced to give you the crap that's by the book, blah, 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 from above. It is designed to prevent you from ever becoming a threat to the upper class. They don't want you to have real skills. They want you to be smart enough to do what you're told. And to relish, like, to start getting a sense of achievement by saying, I follow the rules. You should follow rules when the rules make sense, but often they don't. They're making you put yourself in your own cage. And this is all a byproduct of what Uncle Ted was talking about. And those of you that can't stomach it, even as a child, they'll give you Adderall, baby meth. Stunts your growth, has all these other problems associated with it, but yeah, you'll be better at schoolwork. But it's to steal from to Israel a phrase, just because you have a headache doesn't mean you have an aspirin deficiency. You don't have ADHD. You don't have anything wrong with you. You're in an unnatural environment. You're not supposed to be adjusted to that. So they're going to mess with your brain. So this is culminating, and it happens to be on the anniversary when Ted took his life in jail, which he chose to do on the day Unabomber was born, is the day the Unabomber would die. Palantir. Here's what AI is really going to be used for. You've seen them murdering Palestinians, and the AI is not finding Hamas or anything. It's just cover for kill them all. We want the land. The Bible said so. And religious people that cannot be the answer. That is not an allowable answer, that these are lunatics that think God granted Jews land based on a wrestling match between an angel and Jacob. No, they got to blame the atheists, or it's about no, it's religion. That's why they're there. And there's all these Christian Zionists, holy roller evangelicals that think that's Jews, that's their land, they've been there for 3,000 years, blah, blah, blah. They haven't. But that's in the storybook. So that's we're going to go with that. The same book that has a floating menagerie for 40 days or 150 days. And then put a 2 of every kind and 7 of every clean. And yeah, the Noah's Ark thing, they think that's a real story. Totally ripped off from the Epic of Gilgamesh, by the way. And then they got a talking donkey. And then Jonah lives in a whale's belly for 3 days. You have kings that aren't any more real than King Arthur, with Solomon and David, who had so many concubines they were uncountable. So sex slavery, that's cool with Yahweh. They're basing their moral compass on a book filled of worshiping a genocidal maniac that wants death rituals and blood sacrifices, and murdering animals on the altar with a burnt offering to Yahweh, and favoring his offerings like he did with Cain and Abel, which is the reverse story. The older story was the farmer was favored over the shepherd, but in Cain and Abel they reversed it because Yahweh is a demon and he wants you to murder the lamb, to murder the innocent, not because he needs lamb meat. He's God. He doesn't need any offerings. He just wants your obedience. That's what it is. It isn't the offering. He doesn't need your squash and pickles or whatever, and he doesn't need your dead animal. He just wants you to make you kill something, to make you become a murderer, because that's what a demon wants. They need blood rituals for you, not themselves. And all the curses and flooding the earth and destroying cities, and they're worshiping a demon, and the natural byproduct of worshiping a demon is the Israeli state. And they're just murdering everybody, and Palantir is integral in this, of selecting where any resistance could be, wipe them out, wipe out their family, and then once you wipe out the resistance, you can just start bombing every single house, move in with your troops, murder families, rummage through the rubble and steal their stuff. And you're seeing the rape, murder, and theft. Very pleasing to Yahweh. That's what Jews worship, a psychotic devil named Yahweh that they call God. And it's being backed up. Then some plastic surgery witch like Laura Loomer leaks the plan. Just couldn't be quiet. Gee, we really need Palantir. You need to let that Trojan horse in, so we can get rid of these Mexicans and deport them out of LA. You've got these freaks with Mexican flags, in the United States protesting being deported when they're there illegally. Fuck them. And they have this line, they want to act like they're Native American. Like, that was part of Mexico. Like, yeah, on paper. The Spanish went in and colored that in on a map. Do you remember the Mexican War? Everything above what's now Mexico proper, there was no resistance. There were no armies up there because they didn't ever control that territory. Even a good more than half of Texas was still Comancheria, and they would still be fighting to get that land from Comanche and other Indians all the way up to 1877. The Mexican War is 1848. So natives, sure, they definitely had and controlled that land and held, and they hold some reasonable title to that. And that is different for different things. Up north, by treaty and by Supreme Court decision in 1980, the Black Hills does belong to the Sioux. They carved Mount Rushmore on it. Someone got triggered because there's some natives flicking it off, and they're like, "You ought to get out of this country." And I can go where? That's the only place they've ever been. Plus, I'll tell you this: 3 of the 4 people on Mount Rushmore would agree with your freedom of speech right to flick them off. It's their mountain, according to your Supreme Court and your own treaties. That, yeah, Grant broke those, but they were upheld from 1868 onward. Not only from Fort Laramie, but another one with the Sioux Nation Treaty. Then to enforce greed from Fisk and Good, who are gold merchants from the East Coast, Grant decides to physically take the Black Hills and start mining gold. And that's just how Grant and Lincoln were. They just would see stuff they wanted and take it. Even though they'd lost 3 wars in a row and then another one to Crazy Horse, Red Cloud did defeat the U.S. Army 3 times in a row. They signed a treaty and they burned all the forts that had been set up. And the U.S. pissed off. They came back again with Custer. They lost again. And reaffirmed the treaty. Okay, this is your land. Eventually, and there isn't like a clear day, but because they couldn't defeat the armies, they went around shooting buffalo. And just the size of the U.S. just kept getting bigger and bigger. And it was inevitable that if they came a 5th time, they would be able to win the war. But rather than having war, they said, look, this piece of land's yours. Here's your reservation, whatever. And that stayed that way. It was reaffirmed in 1980 because they went in and stole the gold, but there was a lot of violence there too. And anyway, they never defaced the monument. They're not destroying the monument. I'm against destroying statues and things. But you definitely have the right to give it the bird, especially since Lincoln's on it. And they're building a bigger monument of Crazy Horse on the other side. Anyway, that's all the way up in the Dakotas. I'm talking about Texas. So anyway, these Mexicans are like, yeah, it's part of Mexico. Okay, if it was wrong for the U.S. to take that territory really from Spain, but okay, Mexico gets independence from Spain all of 11 years. Here comes the U.S. They take the portion of the map that you never had control over, had not settled in. It isn't really Spanish or Mexican. They name some port cities and stuff, so they have Spanish names, but there's no one there. Okay, but that is, you had a war that you started and lost, and fine, that's conquest, sucks for you. But then again, how did you get that land? Spanish is not a native language. Oh yeah, Spain came over, slaughtering people like no other, worse than the English or the French. Took out the Aztec and Toltec and and then go upwards. So if it was wrong to be colonized by the British or Americans, it would also be wrong to be colonized by the Spanish. And if it's wrong for the U.S. to take the land from you, then it was wrong for you to take the land from the natives. So no matter what, following that logic, you are a colonizer getting colonized by a stronger colonizer. You have no moral high ground. In California, you're not native. Plus, you're Mexican. And what native blood you do have isn't indigenous to California. And it's just stupid. It's like, look, it's been the United States long before you were born. You came there illegally in the 20th or 21st century. Okay? You're illegal. You're a mooch. You're getting all the benefits and stuff. That's why you're there. Some of you may have come in legally and then stayed illegally. I've seen that argument too. Like, no, I came in legally. Like, yeah, and you overstayed a visa, which now makes it illegal, and you won't leave. And you need to be deported. But we do not need Palantir to deport people. In fact, you don't have to run around physically going door to door, grabbing people and deporting them, and they're just going to come back in 3 days. You need to get rid of welfare. You get rid of benefits and all this goes away. If you don't want ants, don't put sugar on the floor. We get a fuck Lincoln from Uncle Ted's Cabin. High five. Yeah, fuck Lincoln. That's the new t-shirt, is him getting shot in the head and it just says fuck Lincoln. All these problems go back to Lincoln and Grant. Everything. With all the fighting and things with Native Americans, they eventually learned, hey, we can just live together on the same dirt. And that's how it is now. Natives live not only on reservations, they live wherever they live. Inside the United States, as part of Virginia, North Carolina, whatever, as citizens. It was that easy. Fully assimilated. Every native I know speaks English or Spanish. English or Spanish. Some of them have a native language as well. That's fine. People can be bilingual. Fully assimilated. They don't move into parts of the U.S. demanding that you speak Apache or whatever. They will assimilate. If you assimilate, you can immigrate. But if you're going to come into a country you hate and waving the Mexican flag and just dissing on it, and when people move into an area from wherever, doesn't matter where, but their identity is still from back home, they don't care about the place. And that's why they'll just throw trash on the ground. They'll graffiti things up. They fuck things up. They're a menace. Because they don't care about the place where they live. They have this entitlement. That land was stolen from us. If you're Mexican and you're not in Mexico, no land was stolen from you. The land that the Spanish grabbed was stolen from other people. And the majority of what they put as theirs on the map was never theirs. They had no control over it. So it wasn't stolen from you. It was stolen from people, but not you. You didn't build those cities, that infrastructure. It's not your culture. It's not part of your state. Boo-hoo. You can be American or fuck off. Now, you can go against the American government and its dumb decisions and all that, but you cannot go back before 1848 and have this entitlement attitude, say, well, this is supposed to be mine anyway. Well, I'm just going to pollute and act a fool and block the highways and loot stores. Like, you are a criminal with this kind of the same attitude that perpetual victims often have. We was kangs, slaves, whatever, you owe me this. They don't owe you shit. The target that you're robbing didn't do anything to you, didn't do anything to your ancestors, which is so dumb anyway. If you start having grievances for ancestral crimes, it's never ending. That makes things completely unfixable. Europe would have to, start attacking Italy for the Romans and this and that. It's so dumb. But this is back to Uncle Ted's point. The crap they teach you in school is like grievance history. It's stupid. I hate all these people speaking on behalf of natives too. There was this full bearded Mexican saying, well, this is our land for thousands of years. Like, thousands of years? Excuse me? The whole colonization project's not even 1,000 years old, not even close. And you're not native with your full beard. You're Mexican. You're European, whether you like it or not. Your ancestors came from Spain. possibly Portuguese, because there's some of that in there too. You're not native. You weren't there. And it's just like this do-gooder facade. It's almost like stolen valor. Like, you did not go through, you do not share a history with Native Americans. That was a proper genocide. Smallpox, starvation, shooting women and children, all that. That did not happen to you. You freely lived in Mexico, but you were poor. So you decided, I'm going to go over there and get some free shit. That's all that happened. You are a burden. Deport them all. Anyway, I see no questions on Rumble. I could get deep into Uncle Ted, but what's the point? I'm just going to be talking over people's heads. So who cares? I really think you need to consider supplementing your education, though. If you have kids, homeschool if you can't homeschool, because you probably have two people working all day to make ends meet in this society we live in. Those children will never own a house. They're never going to have their own property unless they get some real practical skills and start thinking about business and income and revenue and life skills that matter. They matter way more than what you know about Shakespeare. What the crap you get in school is a luxury. Like, those kind of things are stuff you can learn after you've learned the type of things that will get you an income. The most important type of knowledge you can have is some sort of skill set that will bring you revenue. Because without money, you don't have any freedom. You will not have your choice in a mate. You will not have a choice in where you live. You won't have, so all these choices disappear until you have money. Once you have money or something that can bring you money, then you can learn every detail of the Punic Wars or Shakespeare or whatever you want to do. It's personally enriching. It's healthy for your life. It's good to exercise your mind, to learn things, to learn more knowledge. Unfortunately, that stuff doesn't translate into earning a living, but it can. And I'm going to preach this and people are going to go, ugh. But that real world stuff from the Tate brothers works. I'll give you a quick example. Like, if you are some history nerd and you know everything about the campaign of Alexander the Great and whatever, good for you. What are you going to do with that? Go teach history? Go teach a class on Macedonia and ancient Greek warfare? What? You're going to have a shit life, bud. But there are ways to combine knowledge with modern things and start making revenue. So what you have to do is you either have to learn or pair up with somebody that has video editing skills. And let's take Alexander the Great as just an example. Maybe you start with his dad, with King Philip and his campaign down through Thais and Sparta and whatever. You animate it. And you make the videos for YouTube, because unless you're talking about Israel, you're probably not going to get banned from YouTube. If you can video animate your historical knowledge and people watch that because it's entertaining and they like learning about the war through a show more than reading books or whatever, that's just how the world is. Now that's monetizable and you can start getting revenue for all the years you put in to learn all this knowledge. But you're going to have someone that can edit or animate video, and you're going to have some marketing skill, because once you have your YouTube, you got to get your audience, So you might want to utilize TikTok and Twitter and stuff as on-ramps to build up your YouTube channel. You have your historic videos, Alexander the Great, get in, his mom was in the cult of Dionysus, his dad was a conqueror, all the stuff, the oracles, the neat little stories, the battles, the tricks he did, the tactics. It is an interesting thing. And it was real. This is real history. And you can see what that led to, and you can philosophize and all that. But if you don't learn, and this is just one way to monetize history, but animated videos, okay, boom. There's revenue. There's a practical skill. We're like, oh man, I'm already whatever years old. I don't know if I can learn all that computer stuff. There are teenagers out there that can do it. If you're in an environment like university.com, they will find you people that match together, say this person knows how to do video editing, make you a dank thumbnail with AI and blah, blah, blah. This other person has put in 20 years learning historical facts and things that can narrate and write out a script. You put those two together, boom, you both make money. If you know a bunch about philosophy, or you know how to cook, or you know how to, whatever your skill is that can't bring in money, there are ways that it can start generating money, but you got to be paired up with the right people, and you have to know the practical skills, which is something. The Tate brothers are one example, but there are other things. There are other great things for just learning real life stuff or further developing your knowledge on things that you didn't get in school. There are apps and things for languages, although I think there's nothing better than really like old school and tutoring and stuff. You got to be able to speak to somebody, but whatever. There's curiosity.com. There's a lot of things that will like further your academic development, but there aren't a lot of things out there that will say, here's how you can make money with that. I just gave you one for free. Here's how you could monetize that through video. A lot of stuff is going to be through infotainment. It's going to be linked in some way to AI, or a person using AI is going to be linked to social media. That social media is the new oil, the black gold in the ground. You struck oil. Like if you get that influencer magic, it's easy to make money. Unless you're censored on everything. Now, I would not advise anybody to follow what I did, going after Zog, because you will get canceled on everything and a lot of doors shut in your face. If you're not allowed on Facebook, and you're not allowed on YouTube, and you're not allowed on PayPal or Patreon or any, then all those doors shut. You are not going to make it on Odyssey and Rumble. Like, it's a place to put videos, but you are not going to pay your rent doing that. You have to be on one of the major platforms. You have to. And like, to do what I'm doing, you'd have to do something simple like figure out 9/11 by yourself, or unravel the entire Jeffrey Epstein ring, or solve the Kennedy mystery. Like, I don't think there's a lot of people walking around in the world that can do that. Just go figure something out that no one else knows and explain it to the world. Good luck. You know, you're pretty fucked. So you need to criticize Israel, and you need to do it anonymously. I'm sorry, but they're right. Like, all these faceless frogs and stuff, they're out there trashing them. It's the only way, because you don't have power. They do. And if you stick your neck out, you're going to get the Kanye treatment. You'll get the Bilzerian. Dan Bilzerian's probably lost a few $100 million. Why? Because he said stop murdering kids. That's the world you live in. A death cult is in charge. They worship a demon, and they will stomp you into the mud if you come out publicly like I did, saying all these things are lies. I'm doing it anyway. That's how I'm built morally. I just think, like, fuck these people. But I don't need like lots of money. I'm not one of these people that needs lots of stuff or whatever. But it would be nice to be able to get the films out there and things, because I think this could change the world. I think the 9/11 film I'm doing now, it's very redundant with Empire and Mass. There is a lot of new stuff in it too, but the right presentation and everything needed to be there, and I think this one's going to really shake the pillars. We got one from, that's if I don't go blind. Les Couche says, I'm a semi-retired graphic designer, 45-year career. Would there be an opportunity for someone like me with the Tate program? Yeah, absolutely. And like, graphic designing itself already can make money, but it's like how everyone else, anyone, I could say, hey, I'm a graphic designer, 45. Like, how can you prove that's true? You know, a lot of it's not credentialized. A lot of the best stuff people just learn autodidactically. But if you were to get in, and man, you should have got, if you're going to get in, you should have done it a few days ago, because the price just went up. And it doesn't have to be the Tates. Like, that's just one I know about. So I quit looking for other ones. I'm sure there's other stuff, but it isn't too late, and it's worth it. Like, even if you only got it for a month, What you do is you get in there. You don't have to take the courses that teach you how to do it, because it seems like you already have 45 years. You know what you're doing. What you need is to get, when you get into the school, there's these like mentors. You need to be paired up with someone else who needs your skill. Like someone like me, if I want to do a whole bunch of videos on Native American history or something, but I don't want to sit there and fuck with the I can write it out just like that. Well, let's do Ned Christie today. All right, let's do Red Cloud right now. Let's do Geronimo. Let's do this. Let's do Captain Jack. Let's talk about Plenty Horses. That's a great story. He walked up and shot a federal officer in the head and dropped him dead. They couldn't prosecute him for murder, because if that was murder, then what about the hundreds of murders at Wounded Knee? Anyway, like you and I, or someone like me, can get with a graphic designer and say, I want this website for all my Indian stuff, and we're going to do all these stories to go over history that you didn't learn in school, the actual stuff, whatever. It will bring in money. It's entertaining, and it's something that ought to be known. Morally, you shouldn't just erase people. They can pair you up with someone that needs a graphic designer who's some up and coming whatever. And that's just my example of like making videos for historical stuff. It could be about anything. People need it, or they just need someone who's already, they're selling t-shirts or whatever, and they want to make them better. Graphic designer can come in and be like, boom, here, you really want to see Lincoln's eye come out his face? Let's make it. And they have a Shopify or something like that. They will pair you up with the right people. So yeah, I would go to Cobra Tate on Substack and sign up if you want to do that. Try, and then what you do is work your ass off for the whole month and get paired up with the right people and everything, and then resign. You don't have to pay for it for a year. Just get a month in, and instead of sitting in there for 6 months kind of working, you need to go stone cold Steve Autism for 1 month that you've paid for and get as much out of it as you can, and then cancel. And then you might be, or it might be like, a couple $100, I made way more than I'm spending. I'll just stay in here and just stay in the school and keep getting contacts and so on and so on. So yeah, I would say it's worth it, especially if you already have a skill set, because a lot of people are going into school to develop a skill set and then learning how to market that, and then being paired up with someone that needs it, and da 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 da. The hard thing is the 45 years that this person put in. You already have all the hard shit. You're missing the easy stuff, and the easy stuff's the part where you make the money. And people are like, well, they did this. Who gives a fuck what they personally do? And they make fun of poor people and say women can't drive. Who gives a shit? The school works. You need something. There needs to be more stuff like this, but you have to have like independent 100 millionaires to just like start up a school and hire all the professors. Who's going to do that? But we've needed this for a long time. From the age of the internet on, there is no point in the schoolroom system going in, listening to a lecture with a chalkboard, and like that's just not going to, you're not going to make it, man. Like if that's your background, that's everyone else's background too. You're not going to get ahead doing that. The people who do, it's got nothing to do with their schooling. It's because of who their parents were or who they knew or something. And so they got set up with the right people. It's about who you know, not what you know. Wrong. It's about both. It definitely is about who you know. It's also about what you know. Of the two, I'd probably put who you know is more important right now. But if you're really going to make it and take off and have wealth like generationally, it's what you know too. Anti-Zionist League X says, from your buddy Red Pill Media X on X, keep up the good stuff. What's your take on Palantir and the LA riot connection? I kind of was talking about that earlier. I don't know if you missed it, but dude, it's a Trojan horse. If they really didn't want all these people in here in the country, you wouldn't have to get Palantir to listen and go through. They should never have been allowed in anyway. You don't need to be issuing all these tourist visas and stuff that you don't check up on, and they just come in and then they never return. If you got rid of welfare, there's 50% of it right there. That's my phrase. If you don't want ants, don't put sugar on the floor. policing the border. You can see them coming over in the beach. They just go over the wall where the wall stops. They just go out in the ocean, go around it, come into America and run. There ought to be like a garrison, boom, right there in the beach. And their whole job is just to watch for people trying to go around the wall. And if they catch you, you're fucked. It's not like, no, it's like, oh, we don't have enough jail. Build a new one. Build a new one just to put them in there. You give them a mattress, maybe a couple oranges. You let them sit in there and think about their bad decisions. Quick Vitali update, by the way. The little asshole nuisance streamer who's been arrested like 20 times, who got jailed in the Philippines. He's been greasing palms. It looks like his bribes work. He's only going to get 18 months. So he was looking at 20-something years. He's going to get 18 months. He's going to get out and he's a drug addict, so he's going to go right back to it and do the same dumb shit. They ought to just let him rot in there until he's old and gray. Fuck that. If you act like that like 20 times, it's not like second chance, third chance, fourth chance. He's on his like 20-something chance, but he's got millions of dollars. So every time he gets in trouble, he just bribes the right people and gets out. Somalia won't be able to do that. Korea's going to put that motherfucker in jail. I think LA riots are retarded. I mean, it's kind of a win-win when I see like federal agents and the police fighting with Mexicans and liberals. I'm like, I'll have a Coke, you know. It's only California. That city's been shit anyway. Half of it was on fire and they couldn't put it out because of their lesbian fire patrol. They got this fucking faggot governor, Newscum and stuff. But it's a slippery slope. Like they want you to go, oh yeah, everyone really hates all these illegal aliens, so they want to give the government power to get rid of them. They're not going to get rid of them. They're going to fail at their deportation because this is all performance theater. They're not going to deport all these Mexicans. They'll get a token handful and they'll just be back in a few days. But they're going to ram Palantir in so that they can use it for what they really want it for, which is political dissidents like me and you. It will not be used to get rid of illegal aliens. It will be used to get rid of the people who are saying things critical of Israel. It's going to be used against Palestinian protesters. It's going to be used against political dissidents. It will never be used to get rid of they're not going to deport illegals when they're the ones that brought them in. That's a voting block for the Democratic Party. The only way to get rid of them is either violence, which I don't recommend, or get rid of welfare. You cannot have a welfare state and open borders at the same time. It's like if you have a mustache and you're a woman, you get deported. If you got a Minnie or Mickey Mouse jacket, you're getting deported. If your kids are fat when they're 7 years old, you're getting deported. Chad Warren 369, it's hard for me to see the numbers now, says, if someone were to pay for stem cell stuff for your eyes, would you do it? Yeah, of course. But that's a lot of money, man. It's like $4,000 or $5,000 plus like a trip to Panama or whatever. Of course I want to see. Of course I want to do everything I can. But the thing is, it's not even guaranteed whether it would work or not. But yeah, yes, I would, of course. But I don't have a whale. That's the thing. I'm not getting a check from Qatari checks. They blame that on Ian Carroll. No one's paying me for the Middle East. I'm not being paid by the Tate brothers. I'm not secretly CIA. I'm not any of this shit. I make the money I make. You've seen it right now in shekel shots. Made like $40 maybe. Rumble's gonna take a cut, and we sell this type of. Well, I'm not wearing the gear today, and things like this calendar. You know, the products, the movies, and Substack. Substack's how all the lights are on right now. Join the Substack, ryandawson.org. There is money for the film, but that money is I'm paying other people with that money to make the film. I've already done my part. But that's there. We're like 89% financed on that. That last like 11% would be mine. And that's the part I don't have. It sucks. I'm hoping eventually it'll be paid, but that's givesendgo.com/911. It doesn't matter if you donate $5, $10, whatever. There are some bigger donors on there for sure. Some people went up like 2,000 or more. Somebody did 5,000, but that's for the film. But that stuff would be like that end of it's the profit side. And if I got it, honestly, I would just spend half that on trying to fix my eye. Chadwick says, so in all, what are we talking about? 10 grand? I think we can work something out next year, hopefully. I don't think it's 10 grand. I think it's like 5 or 6 flights, and I don't know what work I'd miss afterward. I don't know. I know the stem cell itself is like 5 or 6,000 though. So a little less than 10. Which is why I haven't done it. That's the thing. Like, it's people who are super wealthy. That's not a big deal. They just go and get stem cell. They go get it for multiple times for multiple things. It has to be the embryonic kind. It has to be a certain kind. With the I looked into this deeply. Like, there really is no cure for wet macular degeneration. WMD. It affects a lot of people. Most of them are a lot older than me, but I think it's from all the lack of sleep. And all the lack of sleep from burning the candle at two ends. I had to work jobs in Japan and then do this type of job because I got 3 children, and it was like, oh, I was fine, and then I got canceled. We were making $8,000 a month on Patreon, and that went all the way to 0. And I was making money on PayPal with reoccurring payments. They were adding up, and that went to 0. Streamlabs, we could pull in money. That went to 0. They took the YouTube away. It's all because this guy, this nasty Jew named Gabe Hoffman, would just go around writing letters to the company saying, cancel this person. They're a Jew hater. And that shit works. That is the power of a Zionist. Any pro-Israel, like pro-genocide, demonic faggot can go around and say, this person hurt my feels, cancel their life. Them and their whole family. Like, I could have been homeless, losing all those revenue streams and stuff. And the reverse is, had I been canceled on nothing, I'd be a millionaire. It's like hard to tell. They canceled my Google AdSense too. If I still had YouTube, and imagine if I also had Facebook and Instagram and all the other stuff that everyone else can have, and I was able to use those to build up the YouTube, which already had like 100,000 followers. Like, you'd be pulling in $1,000 a day. That's what was happening with Shekel Chats. No, it's 0. I'm not allowed on any of these things, all because of opposition to Zionism. I'm not a racist. I'm not a Jew hater. I'm not anti-Semitic, but it doesn't matter. That's all they have to accuse you of. And the accusation alone is enough to ruin your life. And that's why I have sympathy for people like the Tates, because they got accused of rape and human trafficking and all this shit. I'm like, listen, you cannot try to destroy somebody based only on accusation. A court of law sorts that out. And the court of law decided there was so little evidence they didn't even need a trial. Criminally, they were innocent. If you don't like them taking advantage of simps or whatever, fine, and don't listen to them then. But you don't cancel people because you don't like that. Just change the channel. That's all you have to do. Base Farah JJ says, love your work, bro. Going through some vision problems myself as well. That sucks. I'll tell you something that helped me was, I don't know what your vision problems are, but these lutein vitamins, lutein, it's like a protein thing. It's good for your eyes, and it's cumulative. It's not like, oh, I took it. I mean, you got to take it every day for months, but it does start working. Definitely the curvature and the blur in my vision has gotten a little bit better. It's gotten to a point where it's not going to get better, but it won't get worse. So if I can keep it where it is so I can still read and go up and down stairs without falling, that's good enough. I don't think I can drive at night. Like, how can you drive in the day and not night? The problem is at night is like night has all these bright lights more than the day because there's neon signs and street lights and stuff, and that shit's just blinding more than the sun. Chad Warden for 10 says, well, Mr. Dawson, please fix your sleep hygiene. You're way too valuable. I will, in the meantime, do my best to try and get that 10 to 12,000 bucks for you. I don't know who you are, but if you are able to do that, you know, you can watch whatever movies I make free before everyone else. Like, I'll find something. You come out to Japan or Korea, I'll give you the fucking tour for free. That's what I can give is in skills. I don't have a lot of paper, but I know a lot of people, and I'm very well liked over here too. I can get you just about whatever you want. Man, that would be something. Imagine taking stem cells and it worked. And then I would like all the way back to like George Bush the second and stuff that were all anti-stem cell. They're like, this is against your God, or whatever. Like, it's an umbilical cord. The baby's already born. It's not using it anymore. You can use those cells to help fix people. It might become a miracle thing. And these are the type of technologies that are great. Again, tech isn't bad. It's technological society that's bad. What you're having, though, is there might be this miracle cure, and it might only become affordable to the super wealthy. Oh, you're going blind and you're poor? Fuck off. Lose your eye. Oh, you have money? Well, here you go. Boom, problem solved. And the gap will just get wider and wider as they're able to fix all manner of ailments and these people are not. And that's what will actually happen. It's not going to be, oh, we'll lower the price, free market, but no. There's an island of trash the size of Texas. They would rather find some plastic eating fungus to fix that instead of just telling the Philippines to stop throwing trash in the water. And I'll tell you what, 33% of actually 51% of all trash in the ocean is from the Philippines and India. Two countries where they just throw shit in the river, they just throw shit in the ocean. For once, it's not the United States. Yeah, I would think it. Nope. Look it up. Plastic in the ocean. It's the Philippines are more than a third. They are not a third of the population on Earth, by the way. They outdo India. The Philippines just throw shit in the water for some reason. And that is the majority of Trash Island. There ought to be a global summit on that. Like, hey, fucking recycle. You can't just throw shit in the water. But they do. And it ruins it for the rest of us. Jungle Asians. When I do visit Korea, just buy me lunch and tell me some of the stuff you know. No problem. You can go get Korean barbecue, whatever you want to get. Come on out, man. It shouldn't be burden. This is the thing, though. Like these type of videos reach like 12,000 people, like on a bad day. All that would happen, like if everyone just gave $1, there's $12,000. I could go fix my eyes twice. But that never happens. You're like, well, if we all gave $1, it's never everyone gives $1. It's like 30 or 40 people do all the donating and everyone else just nothing. That's how these things work. So that's why people are very... They're like, well, couldn't you just raise that? You have the 285,000 followers on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, 285,000 free followers. You know, how many of them are signed up for $6 a month, which really doesn't make any difference to you? You can't even get lunch for $6. I think maybe 100. I don't know. 106, something like that. So that's where we're at there. Oh, detached retina. So that's the person talking earlier. That's fixable with surgery. It sucks, but it is fixable. Macular degeneration, there's no cure. It's not even in the eye. It's a vein behind the eye. Anyway, whatever. You know you're old when you start talking about your medical conditions. And you know you're really old when you start talking about what all friends of yours died recently. I just heard the wife come home, so I'm going to pop off here. But this is Uncle Ted. This is your rant. Mostly the point of this session was to tell you how impractical school is and that you need to start supplementing that. It's not like you got to yank your kids out of school and put them, but a little bit of homeschooling, a little bit of online courses. Consider something like the Tate School or some equivalent where you're getting practical skills where they start making money. My teenage son does it. He's drop shipping. He's got his own store. And he just, it's like, so worth it. You can learn all that and network with the right people in just a few days once you get in the door and start making money. Not a lot of money, but if you're making money when you're 15, 16 years old from your house, take the W. Dobther sent in a $2 bill. So we got a Jefferson at the end. Nice. If anybody ever sends in a $3 bill, I'm going to say they sent a Lindsey Graham. That guy is so seasoned at his truck stop and bathhouse, he could gargle peanut butter. There's your Grahamism of the day. Boom. RyanDawson.org. Get on Substack. We're doing walk and talks. I'm going to be talking about Ashira, the goddess that was removed from the Bible and replaced with the Holy Spirit in the grove. We'll talk about her. I'm going to do one on Baal later. And some more of these. Got a big update on Ukraine and Russia. I will be on Kim Iverson's show to talk about the Trump-Elon Musk drama and Epstein, and both of them are related to Epstein, actually. We're going to be talking about that with her at 10 p.m. Korea time, which is, 9 a.m. East Coast? Or 11 a.m., something like that. It's like 13 hours off. Forget the direction. But anyway, I'll be on with Kim Iverson in about 10 hours. So, see you then. Peace. Oh, somebody sent in a Lindsay, and they said Lindsay. XD Wiz popped in with a $3 bill, because that guy is queer as a football bat. That guy, I mean Lindsey Graham. He sent in the first Lindsey Graham. There you go. For 2 Lindsey Grahams, you can get a month of Substack. Or 2 Lindsey Grahams can get you signed up on Twitter, too. Or X, what do they call it? It should pull out. You know what? Because you donated, well, let's just look at the calendar for no reason. It is June. It was actually her birthday is in June. That's why she's always in the month of June. If you notice from the other calendars, it's the same model in a lot of them. It's on the cover of some of them. I think she's on this one. Let's see. Maybe not. No, but she did get on the back cover. So that's her in the Confederate bikini there. Isn't that nice? Imagine those three doing anything. But let's see. Her birthday's in June. I tried to put each girl on their birthday month. I think these are both June babies. That's why they share the thing. But there's your Puppet Master quote. All things change in a dynamic environment. Your effort to remain what you are is what limits you. I hope you understand that quote now after everything I said. Trying to stick to this old method of schooling and remain the way it is isn't going to work in a dynamic environment. When you have the internet, when you have AI, when you've got all these things flying around, you are going to be replaced, not by AI, but by a person who can use AI. You need to have a minimal defensive skill set in AI, and you are not going to learn that in school. Boom. All right, let's do a commercial. Let's do one of the funny ones. Homagard.
The globalist Luciferians and their Islamist supplicants are pouring across the borders of several Western nations, including our own. The thrust of their zeal threatens to violate the sovereignty of our way of life, but we can never let it threaten our bodies. Presenting Homagard, a male chastity phallic blocker. It's designed to prevent any jihadi penetration to your rectum while applying moderate pressure to the prostate gland to promote your masculine vitality. Oh my god. It is also equipped with an array of nodes to detect the brain activity of any potential Wahhabi salami near you, which will silently alert you with a subtle vibration. Oh my god. This is a true breakthrough in health and defense, but don't take my word for it. Home Guard made me feel safe, but I'm insecure in a whole nother way now. I never knew just how many Wahhabi terrorists were near me all the time. Thanks, Home Guard.
It's not illegal to ask for pictures of a child's feet. I mean, you're stretching the definition of pedophilia, and Homogard is stretched out far more than that for me.
We can and will defeat the globalist scum on the home front, but we need to make sure we're well protected around back. Homogard. Hi, is this the line for free helicopter rides?
I'm going to fast forward to the end of that.
The globalist Luciferians and their Islamist supplicants are pouring across the borders of several Western nations, including our own. The thrust of their zeal threatens to violate the sovereignty of our way of life, but we can never let it threaten our bodies. Presenting Homogard, a male chastity phallic blocker. It's designed to prevent any jihadi penetration to your rectum while applying moderate pressure to the prostate gland to promote your masculine vitality. Oh my god. It is also equipped with an array of nodes to detect the brain activity of any potential Wahhabi salami near you, which will silently alert you with a subtle vibration. Oh my god. This is a true breakthrough in health and defense, but don't take my word for it. Home Guard made me feel safe, but I'm insecure in a whole nother way now. I never knew just how many Wahhabi terrorists were near me all the time. Thanks, Home Guard.
It's not illegal to ask for pictures of a child's feet. I mean, you're stretching the definition of pedophilia, and Homogard is stretched out far more than that for me.
We can and will defeat the globalist scum on the home front, but we need to make sure we're well protected around back. Homogard. Hi, is this the line for free helicopter rides?